Welcome
Thank
back.
you.
Today we have Anita Bowie who's going to be hosting for us. She'll be talking about contract presentation. So we've gone through this series of working with sellers as the listing agent, and we talked about how you're going to get multiple offers. And once you get to that point and it's time to present, Anita's take it away for us. So welcome, Anita.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with you all today. I appreciate Ms. Porter giving me that opportunity. And I am hopeful and prayerful that I'm able to share something that can be beneficial to everyone in the group here. And so just as Ms. Porter had mentioned, you have your seller, the house has been marketed, and you've had buyers or potential buyers to come in, view your home, and we're getting offers. We're getting multiple offers. And so that's where I'm going to pick up. And so when you receive multiple offers, if you go to Brokerment, there is available to you the multiple offers contract presentation template. And that really makes it very easy for you when you gather all of the information from each individual offer, and you're able to put it on a sheet so that you're able to see all the details of the offer, and then that way be able to present that to your sellers. So what I've done is I've gone into Brokerment, I've got that template out, and I've filled in all of the information that's necessary to present to my seller. You can see at the top of the document, there is the street address, and then will show, when you go further down, you'll be able to see the buyer's name, their agent, and the date that the offer was submitted. I also want to say to you, please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. Because we're going to go through this process together, we're learning together, and I'm sure you can help me out as well. So we're going to look at each individual offer in this, what we will call synopsis, and then we will be able to see where in each offer, each individual offer, we were able to gather that information, and if there's any additional information that maybe we want to gather that's perhaps not shown on the synopsis here. Okay, so for the sake of this exercise, we've received 3 offers, and so we're going to go through all 3 offers. So now, for your sellers, for most sellers, the experience has been the seller's main concern is who has the highest offer, who is willing to pay the most for my home. And so it's wonderful to get those offers. However, we want to make sure that they have a clear picture of the complete offer so that we can be assured that the highest offer is in fact their best offer. In the end, the seller is going to choose the offer that they prefer, that they feel that is best for them. But you just want to be able to lay out a picture for them so that they're able to get a clear understanding of what the offers are. Okay, so let's look at first Tiana Middleton's offer. Again, her agent is Ronald Perry, and the offer date was on 5/8/2020. I'll say to you, the list price for this property was $239. Okay, and so Tiana, she gave an offer of $235. She said that she can close on or before June 12th. The financing type that she has is a conventional loan. she is decided that she's going to put down a $2,000 earnest money deposit. And we know what the earnest money deposit is. That's a deposit that the buyer puts down because they're trying to convey to the seller that they are really interested in this property, and they want their offer to be selected. They want you to take them seriously and not go with their offer and not have the property available to anyone else. Okay, we did. There is a pre-approval letter that we've received. The seller said that, I'm sorry, the buyer said that they would like for the seller to provide them $5,000 in closing costs or seller's concessions towards their closing costs. They have said that for the transfer and recordation split to be 50-50, meaning that the buyer has said, I will pay my transfer and recordation taxes, and the seller can pay their transfer and recordation taxes. Okay, for the contingencies, there are an inspection contingency, an appraisal contingency, and I spelled financing wrong, but that's a financing contingency. And then, let's see, they said that they'll have their inspection within 10 days of a ratified contract. They said that they'll have their financing secure within 20 days. There is no home to be sold. They did not identify a home to be sold. They're not asking for a home warranty. There's no special conditions, and they're not asking for any lender repairs. Okay. And I just wanted to point one other thing out. We have also the appraisal contingency period. And in this offer, there was nothing, no information that was provided for appraisal contingency period. Okay. And we're looking at this. If the seller were to go with this offer, their net estimate would be $232,000. Okay. So that offer, it looks nice. You also want to make sure that when you receive an offer from an agent, make sure that the offer is complete, that they've provided all the information that will be required to get a ratified contract. Okay. So we'll go on to now next, Robert Jones's offer.
Anita, before you go there,
Yes,
can you talk a little bit about, for those of us who may not understand, how you got to the net offer? You subtracted the 2,000 or you added the 2,000?
Okay. That's a good question. Okay. So, and again, this is just an estimate.
Right.
However, based on the information that we've received in the contract, what we do is we add all of our credits and deduct all of our debits and or potential debits. Okay. So for Miss Middleton, we added the purchase price along with the earnest money deposit, which was the $2,000. We subtracted the seller concession because that's something that they're asking the seller to provide, which is the $5,000, and that brought us to the $232,000. Okay. And so again, like I said, it's just an estimate, but it's something that, it will give the seller a good idea of what it is that they're working with in the end. Okay.
So one more question. With the 50-50 split, some people will offer that. Some people might say that they would pay all, I'm not sure. And some people would probably push to not pay any. So do you include that you know, in different ways? Like, you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. So, I mean, you're not going to, for the purposes of presenting the offer to the seller, you're only going to add and or subtract those things that you know um, to be a part of the contract. Okay. So if it were a case that, you know, the buyer says, well, I'll pay all the transfer and recordation taxes, then obviously that would be something that would be taken off your side. Or if they decide that they want you to pay them all, obviously that would be something that you would have to add an additional expense. Again, just keep in mind that this is just an estimate. Okay. Okay. So now we also now are going to look at Robert Jones's offer. His offer amount is the 237. He has a settlement date. His submission date was 6/23, and he has a settlement date of 7/31. This is also a conventional loan. He has offered $15,000 towards his earnest money deposit. He does have a pre-approval letter. He's not asking for any seller concessions or any seller help. There's the transfer and recordation split that has not been identified. So that's something that you would want to, if you're considering his offer, make sure that you guys are clear on paper how that's going to be handled. Okay. He too has contingencies for inspection, appraisal, and financing. He says that he can have his inspection completed within 7 days of a ratified contract. Again, there was nothing that spoke to when the appraisal period or what the appraisal period would be. He has a financing contingency, which is 20 days. And he's not trying to sell a home. There's no home warranty that he's requesting, nor are there any special conditions. He has, however, asked for $1,000 in lender credit. I'm sorry, in lender repair. And so with all of that being said, you're looking at a net sales of 251. Okay. And also I wanted to make sure that you all know that you as the seller agent are going to share with the seller if there is an offer that they are interested in. They can accept the offer in its entirety just as it is. They can reject the offer in its entirety, or they can negotiate the offer. Perhaps there's an offer that may stand out to them, but maybe there's one thing that they're not necessarily wanting to do or give. And in that case, that's where your negotiation comes in. Okay. So the last offer that we have is from Danielle Glover, and I am not going to mess up Josh's last name, but the agent is Josh, and the date of the submission was 7/7. The offer amount was $236,500. They say that they can be to closing on 8/20 or before. This is a VA loan. Their earnest money deposit is $1,500. They do have a pre-approval letter, and they're asking for the seller to give $10,000 in concessions or closing help. They did not identify how the transfer tax and recordation would be split. And so again, that's something that you'd have to make sure that you have clarity in. They are two contingent upon an inspection and appraisal and financing. I'm not sure what was going on with financing, but I was having a rough time there. And then the inspection can be done within 8 days upon receiving the ratified contract. Again, no appraisal contingency time frame was provided. They said that they are able to get their financing in place within 21 days. There's no home to be sold, no home warranty, no special condition. However, they have asked for $750 if necessary in lender repairs, which would give the seller a $227,250 net. Okay. Are there any questions so far up until this point? Okay. So all of this information that we have on this template or this synopsis that we have, all was pulled from your contract of that you received, okay, your offer contract that you received. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through the offer contract individually so that you can see where they are pulled from, okay? And so the first one I'm going to go over is Tiana Middleton's offer. Here's her pre-approval letter. It states that it is a conventional loan, and it states the purchase price of the property, their loan amount, and all of the things that pertain to the buyer themselves, okay? Here is the residential contract of sale, and most of the, or a lot of the information that you have that you are putting into your template comes from this residential contract of sale, okay? It identifies to you the sales price, it identifies to you the seller, the buyer, the address, the sales price, any earnest money deposit, who is going to be holding the buyer's earnest money deposit, okay? It also tells you, gives you a settlement date, okay? And then it also speaks to the financing. When we had spoke about the how soon it would be before the financing would be in place, it speaks to that. Along with, there are other things that are in here, but I just want to point out to you all those things that are a part of that template that you're presenting to your seller. Okay. Let me see. What else is there to add? Okay. This page is the page that has both the buyer and seller's information, along with the buyer and seller broker information. This is your addendum of clauses, and your addendum of clauses is where you'll find that there is, where Ms. Middleton is asking for a 50-50 split. She's identified that she's a first-time home buyer. And this is also where you would find if, for instance, they were asking for a home warranty, okay, and that has not been selected, okay. This is speaking to the home inspection, okay. This is where you'll find that there is a 10-day period of time that the buyer is asking for to have their inspection done. What type of inspections are going to be done in the property? A structural, they can have any of these inspections done that they want, but it also includes what type of inspections they're going to have done. Okay, now this part here, this 4B on the inspections report or the inspection addendum, it is actually, and I think it's necessary to make your seller aware of this, because the above portion of the inspection report just says that we're going to have an inspection by this date within 10 days of the ratified contract. And if there's any issues with the property, we're going to let you know, and we're going to see what the remedies are for those issues. This portion says that after the inspection, that for any reason whatsoever, the buyer has the right to be able to walk away from or rescind their offer. And so you want to make the seller aware of this, because you want to make sure that they understand that they can accept this offer. However, it can come to the place where the buyer is just made the decision that they no longer are willing to move forward with the offer and getting to settlement for this property. Okay. And again, remember, everything can be negotiated. Okay. So just because someone asks for something does not necessarily mean that they'll receive it. I'll hold just one moment, please. I'm trying to admit into the room. Okay. So the buyer has the right to ask for whatever they would like to be a part of the purchase, and the seller has the right to provide what the buyer is asking for, and or reject what the buyer is asking for. Okay, this is your financing addendum, and it has the information on here that you would need as far as what the buyer is being financed for, and the length of the loan and the type of loan, and whether or not there is going to be any lender repairs required. It does give a time frame to give notice to the buyer if, when the appraisal is done, if there is the appraised value of the property is not that of the sales price, it gives the buyer the opportunity to be able to then go back to the seller and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we would like to amend our offer to the appraised value. The property did not appraise at the sales price. Okay, and then it gives you opportunity to go back to them, and you decide, okay, well, I'll accept the appraised value and we'll amend the offer, or maybe you did they would make the decision that no, we're not going to accept it and we'll move on to another offer. They're asking for, this is the sheet seller contribution addendum, and first time home buyer, she said that she was a first time home buyer. Here is also where they identify the 50-50 split, that they pay their portion of the transfer tax and recordation, and the seller pays their portion. Okay. And then this part is the same as what you would give to your seller, the understanding who agent represents and consent for dual agency. And now we're getting into the portion of the disclosures that your seller has provided. So basically, everything up until this point has been the information that the seller has provided. And now these are the disclosures that you've had your seller to provide or to we put those in the MLS for the buyer to be able to have their sellers to sign off on. And so that's why I was saying also to make sure that when you receive those disclosures back, that all of the disclosures are initialed and or signed by the buyer. It's complete, because you don't have a ratified contract or a binding contract until all of the terms of the offer is accepted. So that's whether it's the portion that the buyer has provided to the seller, or any disclosures that the seller has provided to the potential buyer. Okay. Are there any questions? And so I'm not going to go through this portion of the offer, because this is information that you have gotten from your seller prior to receiving the offers. This is initial information that you've gotten. Yeah.
So Anitha, I have another question.
Sure.
Looking at the dates of when these offers were submitted, it looks as if they were submitted a month apart, like 60 days apart. And so would you actually wait that long to and keep all of those offers, in front of your client for that amount of time?
So I am thinking, well, this is the short answer rather is, you find out from the seller how they want to be presented. A seller may say, well, we'll wait and for a week, or we'll give it 3 days, until we receive offers. And after the third day, then, or after the week, we want to see the offers. We will sit down and we'll look through all of the offers. Or they may also say, no, we want to see the offers as you receive them. So it's up to you to make sure that you know from your seller what it is, how it is that they want to be presented the offers. Okay. I am not sure as far as this specific, but this was just set up just as training. And so I'm assuming that maybe the initial offer was not accepted, and that's the reason why there was a month between those two. The other two may not have, there may not have been as much of a space of time, right, before those offers were received. And it could have been that they could have been going back and forth with the one offer when they received another offer, or I'm not sure. Okay, but the answer to the question is, you follow your seller's instructions as to how they want to receive the offers. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, and so this is our, any other questions? Okay. So this is our next offer, and this offer is from Mr. Jones. Okay. You see, he's provided a copy of his certified check for his $15,000. Something that I wanted to also suggest to you, and it's something that I do when I receive offers. When I receive an offer, and when I present the offers, and based on the offer that the seller is leaning towards, I will contact their lender, because the goal is to get to settlement. Okay. And so we want to make sure that the offer that we've received will stand up to the loan, okay? Or the loan will stand up to the offer rather. And so I'll contact the lender, and I'll ask them, about the loan. Is this a good loan? Are we going to be able to make it to whatever the proposed settlement date is? They can't give you an absolute, but based on the information that they have received from their potential buyer ahead of time, they can, give you a good idea as to whether or not they feel comfortable that they're going to be able to get this loan to settlement. Okay. And then you might want to ask them some additional questions, because Mr. Jones, in the template, in the synopsis above, he identified that this was a conventional loan, but nowhere on this letter does it state that it's a conventional loan. And so that's maybe something else that we want to ask the lender, just to confirm that this is in fact a conventional loan. And so you just want to make sure that you, again, the goal is to get to settlement. So you want to do as much of the work on the front end so that you won't have issues, I guess, that you may end up having to deal with on the back end. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So again, Mr. Jones has provided us with all of his information, his contract, and it looks as if though he started out with an offer amount, and he amended his offer amount, and he amended it to 237,000 from 229, it looks like it was. And always when anything is changed on the contract, make sure that all parties involved have initialed and or signed off on any of those changes. You need to make sure that that is signed off by all parties, okay? Let's see. And so again, his offer is 237. Again, he has the $15,000 in earnest money deposit. He's identified who is going to be holding that deposit. He has also given us a close date. He's identified here on the contract of sale that this is a conventional loan. However, again, like I said, it doesn't state that in the letter, a pre-approval letter. And so we just want to make sure that we're clear about that, okay? He has identified how long it will take to secure the financing. And so that is all of that information, again, as part of the sales contract. So you'll see that it'll become, the more you do it, the more you'll be familiar with it and the easier it will become. And then the more questions that you'll have, you'll be able to identify some potential questions that you need to have the answers for your sellers, okay? Because they'll have a lot of questions and they are looking to you as the expert to be able to provide them with the information, because they do want to make the decision that best works for them. Okay, and again, that's their brokerage information, buyer and seller information, the same financing addendum for conventional. It speaks to the lender repairs and everything. The inspection addendum. So everything that the buyer wants. The buyer can't say, nor can you, the seller, say, well, I want to have a chimney inspection and that not be identified on the inspection report, or I want, perhaps he initially said that he didn't want any seller closing help, and now he's saying, well, you know, I'd like to have $2,000 in seller closing help. You need to make sure that anything that is agreed upon verbally is agreed upon in writing. Okay. So this again is the inspection addendum, and make sure everything is signed. He also provided a COVID addendum where he's saying that, and we know that because we are in COVID season, that things could be a little bit delayed. It's possible that things could be a little bit delayed, and he's saying that, you know, in the event that things are delayed, that he's willing to have a 5-day extension, but he does have the right to terminate after 10 days. So, and they can have that information or not have that information. And it's just a way that everyone is able to be, all parties involved are able to understand clearly what the contract is and protect each party as best as possible. Okay. And again, his understanding who agent represent and consent for dual agency. Let's see. So, and now, again, we're getting into those documents that were provided by the seller by way of disclosures and put in MLS for the buyer agent to be able to obtain and have their buyer to sign off on, to be a part of their offer package. Okay, again, making sure that all of the documents are signed. And so now we're on to our last offer, and our last offer is, well, I thought we were on to our last offer. Let's see here. Now we're on to our last offer. And our last offer is from Miss Glover, okay? And again, this is her pre-approval letter. And so I don't necessarily think I need to just go through all of them again, because I think everyone probably realizes or can see where they're pulling information from to get the synopsis filled out, okay? Let's see, is there something else that I wanted to share with you all? I think that may be it. And so really, when we go back to our template here, our synopsis, we have all this information that we're able to present to our seller. And as I said, even once we have provided that information to them, another layer of confirmation or verification that I do is I will contact the lender, and I will ask the lender questions just to make sure that my seller is selecting the offer that is going to best work for them. And if there is perhaps, which we don't have an example of this, but there can be a cash buyer perhaps that may be submitting an offer. And so they are not going to have a pre-approval letter. And so the way that we make sure that we are able to verify that this cash buyer is able to get all the way to settlement is we're able to, we're looking for from them a something from their bank that identifies the individual and or company or corporation that is looking to purchase the property, and whether or not they have the funds available to be able to move forward with the purchase of the property. Okay, and so I think that's everything that I do when I'm looking to present an offer to a seller. Is there anything that anyone else can help me with, and maybe give me any additional ideas or tips or things that I might want to make sure that I provide to my seller?
Well,
Hey,
I have.
Nitha.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just think that that you're doing a great job, and the way that you present, you know, all the offers like in this spreadsheet looks really good. Like I would like to see that if I was the seller. You know, just kind of cuts through, you know, everything. So if there is multiple offers, instead of like pushing through all these different papers and all, you know, the entire contract, you know, by having this kind of sheet, it's just like, here's the meat and potatoes, you know, this is the important stuff. So you can kind of go through 2 offers, 3 offers, you know, if you have 5 offers, it just makes it a lot more ease of use, a lot more user friendly for the seller. So yeah.
Yeah,
Very
thank you.
thorough.
And, and so I want to say to you all, so, and thank you, Curtis, for mentioning that, because this is available to all of us. All of us are able to go into Brokerment and pull this template, and all you have to do is just obviously download it in your dot loop, and you can work within this document. It helps you to be able to just do a side-by-side comparison. And so, is there anyone else?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hi, this is Permon McPayton. I'm just wondering, are you running into, because it's such an aggressive market out here, and everyone is coming, you know, with their best offer, and sometimes it gets into a little bit of a bidding situation. Are you running into people, to sellers who are saying they do not want to deal with buyers who want an inspection or want contingencies, otherwise, in other words, maybe of inspection or appraisal, or contingencies where they have to sell their house or something like that? Are you finding that to be way more the case now? Because it just seems to me, I've had a few sellers who had really kind of said that they don't have to deal with that because they got so many people making offers where they're not even asking for any contingencies. They're not even asking for inspections or anything. Has that been your situation as well?
So that's a very good question. And with this being the seller's market, that is more often now than prior to the case. Sellers understand that they have the advantage in that sense. And so they're looking to sell their property, and they're looking to sell it with the least amount of fuss involved. So if they can get a full price or over list price offer with no contingencies versus this list price, or even an offer that may be a couple $1,000s more, but they have, you know, 3, 4 contingencies, or they need special conditions, you know, they're looking for you to change out the carpet or something like that. You know, they know that it's not necessary for them to have to deal with that. And so they are more and more leaning towards those type of offers. Yeah. So it's, you just have to know, you have to present to the seller the offers that you receive. And it has to be their choice to accept and or decline the offer.
Okay. And my follow-up question is this: what do you do with a seller who wants to price their house for an amount that the market doesn't bear? You've done your comparative market analysis. It doesn't bear that, but they're saying, look, I want this for my house. I want to put it for this amount. I have my memories. I know what I've done to the house. What do you do with sellers like that? And how long would you put a house on the market before you would start saying, okay, we need to reduce the price?
So that's an excellent question. I'm sure that's a question that we probably all have gotten. And a seller, there's ties that a seller has to their house. Okay. Oh, they remember, or they'll start pointing out to you, well, we just got a new hot water heater last year. We just put in new appliances this year. We brought our first child home in this house. Oh, we've had
Right.
so many memories in this
Right.
house. And all of those things are value to the seller that may not necessarily be value to a new buyer.
Right.
Although that may be a good story for the buyer, they don't see it as value. And so our job is to just make sure that we provide to them the comps. Okay, so we're providing to them the comps that shows indeed what the activity looks like in their area with like properties, and we can advise them to what a good list price would be. I've had situations where the seller has insisted that, no, we want to sell it, we want to list it for more than what I have perhaps suggested. And I will always, depending upon how much more than what I would suggest, I will go ahead and I will list it at their amount. However, I do tell them, and especially being the fact that this is the seller's market right now, if we do not get any inquiries and or requests for showings and within like the first 2 days, that's an indication to us that we need to do something. And just also, warning them of the fact that, with it staying on the market, in the end, you're not necessarily going to get more for the property than what is what your suggested price is. And in fact, it is sometimes it works against them. So all we can do is just give them the information that we've gathered. They, in the end, are going to make the decision as to how much it is that they want to list their property for. And we have to decide. But I have had situations, and generally, they will go along, okay, well, let's start at our price, because I even have had people who have said, well, let's start high and then go, we'll go low if we need to, and really that's not necessary, especially not in this market right now,
Right.
I mean, you can go a little bit under what would be what you would think to be a sales price, and you will have multiple offers coming in. So you might want to suggest that to them, that strategy versus the going high and negotiating down.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then also one last thing I just kind of wanted to also bring out is just as I had mentioned, there is we've received offers, and sometimes, and I've had this happen to me recently where I received an offer for like $15,000 over list price, and that looks attractive. And you know, the seller wants to take that offer because, ooh, this is $15,000 over list price, you know. However, we want, and if that's the offer that the seller wants to go with, that's fine. We can go with that offer. However, if that's an offer that's being financed, we just need to make sure that we make the seller aware that unless the property appraises at the offer amount, the buyer will be coming back to us and saying that they want to amend their offer, because the bank is not going to finance more for the property than what it's worth. And so unless it comes back at that appraised value, although that higher amount looks attractive, you just want to make them aware that if it does not appraise for the sales price, then the buyer is going to come back with an amendment to the offer.
Okay.
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 Anything else anybody can help me out with? No.
I thought this was very thorough, Anita. And this template, which is in Brokerman, thanks for letting us know, or bringing it to our attention that it is there. This is very helpful. I think I asked my questions at the beginning, but this was very helpful and very clear what it is we should be looking for, and ensuring that we have gone through each contract and pulled out the issues that might be different or the same, so that we can easily compare offers with our buyers, with our sellers. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. So if there are no other questions, that was perfect timing because it's 1:29. And so I appreciate all you all for allowing me to share with you. And hopefully everyone was able to get something, some little nugget from it. And I again, appreciate everyone's support. Okay. So thank you all. And we're going to, if we don't have any more questions or comments, we're going to go ahead and we're going to end the call. Okay. All right.
Great.
So you guys have a wonderful rest of the week and a wonderful weekend, and be safe.
All right. You too.
Okay.
All right.
You're
Great
welcome.
job.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right.